Good morning, everyone. I'm Hangbo Zhao from USC. Very nice to share with you our research on liquid metal-based stretchable electronics. So we know most electronics that we use today are built on rigid platforms that are not designed to interface with soft, deformable material systems. These include biological tissues or soft robots. So that's why in the past few decades, we have seen a transition from rigid electronics to flexible or even stretchable electronics. We have electronic tattoos that can better conform to our skin. We can also integrate electronics on deformable surgical tools like this catheter. In the future, we may envision that we will need to kind of integrate soft stretchable electronics on soft robots for better human-robot interaction. So for soft stretchable electronics, a key component is stretchable conductors. So liquid metals, especially gallium-based liquid metals, are considered one of the ideal stretchable conductors because it has metallic level conductivity, thermal conductivity, has extremely low vapor pressure, means it doesn't evaporate. It's a fluid that basically flows and has pretty much like extreme stability, and it's not toxic. That's why in the past decade or two, we have seen a lot of advances in using liquid metal as stretchable electrodes, interconnects, and also recognize some experts in liquid metals in the room, including Chris. In order to kind of use liquid metal in stretchable electronics, one challenge we have to overcome is to pattern them at micro nanoscale resolution. So we can do this easily with traditional conductors like copper gold because we can use vacuum-based technology to deposit nanoscale thick thin films. We can use photolithography to achieve micro nanoscale resolution, but it's very hard to do so to liquid metals because first of all, it has extremely high surface tension. It's about 10 times the surface tension of water. So it tends to puddle or beat up instead of forming a nice thin film. Second, that it forms a nanoscale thin oxide skin that kind of complicates its interfacial behavior. So because of these reasons, although there are some approaches that can be used to pattern liquid metal, but it's very hard to achieve microscale resolution in terms of thickness, in terms of line width on a highly stretchable platform. So that's the problem we are trying to solve. So in a paper published in Science Advances last year, we think we have found a way to do this. Here's a kind of an overview of the process. First, we developed a unique Colloidal self-assembly process where we can form a single layer of liquid metal particles and also sinter them during the assembly process. We can do this on our patterned substrate so that we can transfer the patterned liquid metal particles onto a soft elastomer as our substrate. We did many different characterizations, mechanical, electromechanical, and also we demonstrated that we can integrate this liquid metal electronics onto surgical tools for cardiac mapping. So first, I'll talk about how we can form a single layer of highly conductive liquid metal particles. So here we need to do two things. First, we need to form a very thin film, which is very hard to do for liquid metal already. Second, we want to make sure that they're conductive. So we can generate liquid metal particles through ultrasonication in a beaker. That's a very standard process, nothing new. You can see each particle has a nanoscale oxide skin, which makes it basically not so conductive. What we did was we introduced the electrostatic charge to the particles and to a receiving substrate. So because of the strong electrostatic attraction, the particles will be attracted to the solid substrate and form a thin layer. Because this process is self-limiting, you can just basically form a single layer, and then you can repeat the process to get multiple layers. So what's interesting about this process is that after you take this substrate out from the solution, there's solvent evaporation. So that generates extremely large surface tension. That breaks the oxide skin, actually. So the particles are connected internally. We call this cold-welding. So you can see very clearly the particles are connected internally. This is the side view. You can see about 2 layers of particles. We studied the process physics a little bit in detail. We were trying to understand what forces are causing the particles to break, basically. So in the solution, there's van der Waals force, there's electrostatic force, but compared to capillary force, they are much smaller. The capillary force is about a few hundred nanonewton. We think this capillary force is the dominant force that breaks the oxide skin. But how much force is required to break the oxide skin? That was not known, it was not measured directly before.